Hi, my name is Michael. I am Navalkosmos, and this is my quick sketching of Spider-Man I just did tonight because I can't sleep. So here we go. Usually when I draw these kind of images, I have the hardest time figuring out what I want to draw. It's usually a way of, or a type of analysis paralysis. I'm trying to figure out what character I want to draw for the evening, or just for a quick sketch to keep my abilities nice and tight, so to speak. So I chose Spidey tonight because it's something I can draw really quickly and something I can have fair understanding of how the character poses and moves and things like that. Just so you know, this is off my iPad Pro, and I'm using Procreate to do the image, which I love because it's a really easy way to get quick sketches out. Just if you need to scratch that artistic itch, as it were. So as you can see here, I'm just laying down some basic Spidey details. The eyes, kind of working on where I want my shadows to lay. Now I'm kind of going into laying a bit more definition in what more detail into his musculature. Spidey's not a huge guy; he's a little thin, spindly dude. So getting that right is the first step in getting a pretty good idea of how you want your Spidey to turn out. As you can see, I'm extremely rough sketching it. Um, Trying to get those little details right. Laying in the leg and the shoe work, which any artist will tell you the hardest thing to draw are hands and feet. So, usually I leave those for last. Now, just kind of still laying in some musculature and kind of breaking down how I want my lines to look. When it comes to this character, I've been drawing him since I was two. So getting and going through the hundreds of iterations, well, not hundreds, but dozens of iterations of his costume, you can pretty much pick whatever you want to draw when you're drawing a webhead here. As you can see now, I'm laying down his line work, or the hardest part of drawing Spider-Man is kind of figuring out how you want that to fall, how detailed you want it to be. Me, I like to keep it simple, so I usually do pretty much 5 or 6 lines across his chest, um, 6 or 7 across his face, so on. And laying down the webbing is actually the funnest part of it because you can kind of have to think about how the musculature will wrap around the costume, all that fun stuff. Now I'm going into my inking, which I'm using a wet brush in the tool. One thing I love about this tool, it gives you plenty of ink options. I'm not the strongest inker, so this really helps me out when I have to be a one-stop shop and kind of do all of the entire process myself. Um, was the kind of artist who didn't want to wait for someone to be my colorist or wait for someone to be my inker. So I could kind of just learn myself, went to school for it, um, and then I kind of did a bit of self-teaching myself just to get a better hang of it, so I didn't have to wait on particularly anyone to do it for me. I'm a firm believer in that. Give a man a fish, he eats for a night. Teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life. So that's pretty much how I go by things, or at least try to, especially when it comes to art, because I want to be able to at least understand how the process works. So if I do work with someone who is an inker or a colorist or a letterist or a letterer, as it were, I can have a kind of an understanding of what they go through, so I can respect their technique. Now I'm just going in laying some deep, so deep inking for Spidey here, trying to get his head right, kind of creeping around that inking process, and laying down some of his shadow work because that's the funnest part about inking, kind of getting those deep shadows in. And it really depends on the character how deep your inking goes. At least for me, I haven't kind of gotten the swing of inking yet. Some characters come out too dark. Some characters come out where I barely ink at all. It's just basic line work. And I think it's really based on the style of the artist. You know what I mean? There are certain artists out there who have extremely light art line work, but it's really strong line work. Whereas other artists work really heavy in shadow work, and I think that's where my skill kind of pushes toward. That's where I'm kind of finding my artistic muse is going into deeper shadows, the laying of those dark, heavy blacks and whites, because that's what I used to do with my pencils. Um, so I find that's kind of being the way I'm going about it. I'm laying in the webbing on his booties here, kind of getting that done, throwing those in there. Um, Now I'm going to start laying my flats, which I like to go from dark to light. Some artists like to go from light to dark, but hey, this is my particular style. Now I'm laying in some basic lighting on the reds first. Love Spidey's color composition. Can't beat red and blue, right? Classic, iconic Spider-Man look. Laying in some more shadows. Um, and I'm about to go and lay in, I think, my blues next. So, just adding a little bit of lighting to that, making it look a little bit more colored in. Here you can see me start messing with the webbing, drawing that in, using grays and whites. I don't want that to be too inked in. So as you can see, I'm kind of playing with that. And after that, I'm going to kind of lay in a color contrast background to give it some a bit of make it pop a bit more. So I went with yellows and greens because it made me think of the Green Goblin, and that's about it. So I hope you like this quick video. For more like it and more artwork from me, Michael, aka Navalkosmos, you can always visit my art blog, navalkosmos.wordpress.com, or you can visit my Facebook page, Family and Friends. This is me signing off, and I hope you liked the video, and I plan to make more. Thanks. Bye.